Okay, I believe you can see the screen now.
Yeah, it's up.
All right, cool. Cool. So we'll talk about, a little about how to build data-driven product roadmap, and um, I'll try to, be as generic as possible, about from the product point of view. But as I said, a lot of bearing will come from the software side of things. So you might have to apply a little, take it with a grain of salt. Cool. So that's quickly about me. I am a senior director of products at this logistics company called Move and Sync. We are world's largest office commute platform. Um, I also am one of the board members and directors at Head Start Network Foundation. It helps building the ecosystem. It works with a lot of ACICs, works with a lot of um, startup enablers to ensure that they are able to reach out to startups at the grassroots. And we work with 1,000 plus startups, uh, you know all around the year, in ensuring that, particularly in tier 2 cities and towns, where we get them the exposure that they sort of deserve. uvtimes.blogspot.com is my blog, and I keep sharing my learnings. From last 15, 16 years I've been doing that. Things that I have learned the hard way, I try to make it simple for people. So very quickly we'll talk about what is product, what is, managing product, about what is a roadmap, and then how do you create a data driven roadmap. Then there's something what I call as feature brackets framework, which I developed about 7 8 years back and have been using, and teaching to a lot of mentees since then. And then how do you how does road mapping kind of differ for different stages of the product life cycle, right? So very quickly, what do you think is a product? And the question is for each of you.
Anything which is addressing certain or helping people to be better in their daily life,
Okay, some
consuming
sort of
anything
value add.
value add.
Okay.
Any offerings which we are like offering to the users or to fill the gap, something which like, they are looking forward
Sure.
to
So
make
so
their life simpler and easier.
sure. Okay. Again, adding value, um, filling a gap. Sure, Aishwarya.
Uh, yes, sir.
The question is, what is a product?
It is something that adds some kind of value to the user's life. Uh,
Sure.
Very rough on the edge, but yeah. Uh,
Sure. So yeah, some sort of value, some sort of convenience, some sort of, typically, more often we would see that a product is a solution, right? That there is a problem, and then there is a solution, uh, which, uh, so the customer is typically looking to us for a solution to their problem. And then, what you get is, a solution, and then within that solution, there are a bunch of things that also add value to their life, and makes it better, right? So very quickly, if you, what we call as the problem solution space, right, you would see that there is this problem space, right? There is a bunch of problems around. Not every problem can be solved, right? So some of the problems, are solved, or solvable. So there is a solution, right? So we take the wheelchair example, or we take any other example. Not all problems related to wheelchair are solved, right? So for example, one thing that Mitesh is solving is about comfort of the wheelchair and not about the speed of the wheelchair, right? So speed could be another factor someday, which someone else might be solving for that. You, for equal amount of effort, you might be going at 5x the speed, etc., etc. So that could be one of the things that someday either route 3 may be solving, or someone else might be solving. So the the thing really is that the problems are so many, right, in the same domain. If you talk about just one object or one hardware or one software or one app, the problems are so many, right? But all are all may not even have a solution, right? So if I want to go from place A to place B, there are a bunch of solutions, right? But if the place A is in on Earth, and place B on a different planet, the solutions are still evolving, right? If I want to go to Mars, today I don't have a way to do that, right? Of course, Elon Musk is building that technology, but it's still not solved problem, right? So um, the essence is that there are a bunch of problems that are still not solved, but there are problems which are solved, and which is the solution set. So solution set is smaller than the problem set, and within that solution set also there are a bunch of solutions, right? There are different ways of solving a problem. There are different levels at which the problem is solved. And then your product might be solving it in a one small way, or one in one you know in one way, or in a small part of the problems will be solved by your product. And that is what your product is, right? And then if you look at it, the beyond the problem, there is another big set, or a very global set of customers needs and wants, right? And they are two different things. There are a lot of things that people need, and a lot of things that people want. And it is very important for you to understand key where is your product in that entire continuum, right? So and we will actually understand some of this in a little more detail as well. But very quickly, trying to understand what product management is. So essentially looking at the problem, right? And uh, very quickly we can divide it into whose problem is it, how you are solving, why you are solving, right? Who essentially gives you a great answer about your user base or your target audience, right? How you're solving is whatever technology that you have built, or whatever innovation that you're doing, whatever is the sort of feasibility to solve it. And then why you're solving is how are you making it viable. Of course there is an impact to it, but the value that you're creating for the stakeholders, the money that you would make, the business, is the why, right? So essentially, if you see, you're creating something, solving something for humans. And again, I've just done a very broad category, but for you it is people, you have defined, like, the category that there is um, deaf people who you are solving for. There are people on wheelchairs who you are solving for, or something else. So when you are focusing on this, this category again can be niche, made more niche, that who are these people. Does it apply to all people who are on wheelchair, or a certain set of people who are able to use the wheelchair in a certain way, right? So nothing, no solution kind of applies to everybody. Whenever you come across this word everybody, it is definitely a dangerous word. So try to avoid and see who exactly, and understand this really well. Same for technology, that what exactly solves their problem, and then business, that how would you make money, that or why you are doing this, what will it achieve, you, and how will you become a sustainable um, you know innovation center, or how will you become a sustainable business, is what eventually you would have to answer. And product managing the product is all about balancing these three things, right? Cool. So coming back to your users problem, I've just tried to dig a little deeper into the user problem thing. There are users needs, there are user wants, right? So typically there are things that you may want but may not need, right? I want a BMW car, I definitely do not need it, right? I have a Grand i10 and it works perfectly fine, right? But I may want anything, right? As I said in an example earlier, I may want to go to Mars. I definitely have no need to go to Mars as of today, right? 20 years later, I don't know. Maybe oxygen is, so less in supply that we might have to go, carry our oxygen and go to some other planet and figure, something out. So, but as of today, if we see, these are wants and not needs, and things keep moving between these. Some of these things I need, right? I need to be fit, right? I may not want to, right? So so we have to understand where is our product lying in this entire continuum, right? And what kind of problem are we trying to solve, right? So again, we have to understand that where is our product, is it solving a problem within the needs, is it like an insurance, right? Everyone needs insurance, but most people don't have it, right? The penetration of insurance is only about 25-30% in India, right? While uh, you know if you look at the product insurances, you would see that typically it is, if you understand how insurance works, you would feel that it should be something that should sell automatically. Nobody should really um, you know need to sell it, right? But if you see, millions of dollars are is being spent in selling insurance, in ensuring that a lot of big actors are hired, and a lot of millions of dollars of ads and marketing budget is spent in selling people insurance, right? but but if you look at it, as it is should sell itself, it is like such an important product, and everyone needs it so much that it should just sell it itself, right? But as we so insurance is a great example on and very humbling example for all of us, that we innovate and we believe that ye to yaar bikna chahiye, this should probably just people should queue up and buy this product. But ऐसा होता नहीं है. We realize that there is a lot of things that people need but may not want, और ऐसी चीज़ों के लिए आपको उनको अवेयर कराना पड़ता है, उनको रियलाइज कराना पड़ता है, फोमो क्रिएट करना पड़ता है. वी हैव टू ensure that they understand that they are missing out if they don't you know do they don't use that. And you have to bring something that people need but may not want to something that people want, right? So by awareness and by all of these marketing money and patience, you will essentially bring this down into this arc, and then you're all obviously solving for it. And then there are things that people don't have a problem also, they have a need but not a problem, right? They may have a need and want, but again may not have a problem related to it. They may have a want, but there's no need to it, right? So a lot of things, like even I would say, the fitness trackers, a lot of people don't really need it, right? They just want it because they're trendy, right? Because it's like fashionable to wear a smartwatch, etc. You don't really need to track your heart rate, and nobody actually uses it also for all of these purposes. Typically they just use it because it just looks nice, right? So but there are again certain things who are fitness freaks, or who are going through some chronic diseases, disorders. They need constant monitoring, and for them it is definitely required. So for them it's a need, but for a lot of others where they're using it just in a fashionable way, it's just a want, right? So this is what what is the kind of breakup, and why it is important, why I'm focusing in a roadmap session, why I'm talking so much about problems, is because this is the baseline. You have to really understand, in order to create or have a vision or have a roadmap for your product, whether it is software or hardware. You have to understand what kind of problem you're solving. Is it a need? Is it a want? Is it both need and want? What is the problem that you are solving for? क्योंकि उसके बेसिस पे फिर आपकी आगे की स्ट्रैटेजी निकल के आती है. अगर आप if you're doing, if you've created something which people just want, may not need, तो मैसेजिंग बिल्कुल अलग होगी. Versus if you are creating something that people need but may not want, in that case the messaging is very different, right? So very quickly I'll also brush up. I'm sure you would have seen this, the product life cycle chart at multiple places. But very quickly, this is where you introduce, in the initial days, a lot of early adopters will adopt your product, and then there is a typically there is also a lull here where you may stop finding early adopters, and then improve the product such that more and masse lower people are able to adopt your product. So you enter the growth stage, and then typically product is selling, you're getting inbound queries, and left, right, and center things are getting sold. So it's a growth stage, and then you enter early majority when things, you're still growing, but the growth kind of starts weaning, right? That it is the growth rate is smaller. So if you see this, it is very high growth rate, and this it has started to decline. It is still growing though. And then in this maturity stage, you will see that the growth has kind of stopped. So this is all a multi-year thing, right? For a lot of products this is like a small cycle, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. For a lot of products it's like a 20-30 year cycle, right? So water filters is a great example, right? RO is something that you might have seen how it has grown in the world, right? I think if you guys are in the NCR region, you would see that air purifier is now fast becoming a commodity of everyone's use. 5 years back, hardly anyone was using air purifier, but right now I think it is post covid, air purifiers have picked up. Plus because of pollution levels at in the cities is so alarming that it has become a sort of commodity that is being used in every household, right? Some people may have it in every room of their house. So it is something which you can imagine in last 10 years has grown from a want to a need, right? That it is not just something that people had for show off. Now it is like people really need it. They're not able to breathe properly in absence of it. So so that is what how things change, right? Uh, in the lifetime, in the life cycle of that product, right? So typically then they can have a decline phase, and there are a lot of products that are now end of life. You would see that those things are not sold anymore, or not, like a radio or a camera, non-digital camera. Some of these things are just disrupted to the core, and nobody uses them anymore. They have a lot of antique value now. So things get adopted, get generated, new innovations come, and then as innovations keep coming, you will see that the product gets decline, and either you change the sort of, you add the product as an extension. You would A camera company can start doing digital cameras and become again enter into a new growth phase, or it can continue to decline and then get merged with some other entity, or shut shop. So all of these things happen, right? Cool. Any questions this far?
No, we're good.
Cool. So we quickly talk about road mapping. Product roadmap, I believe, is product strategy. A lot of people have different, you know, topics and different jargons used. I think what you, in terms of products, what you call as a product roadmap, that what are you going to build today, what are you going to build in next 60 to 90 days, what are you going to build in next 3 years, and eventually, you know, how you see the entire product shaping up. That is the roadmap, and that is the product strategy, is something, you know, which helps you decide, you know, when to say no, right? Because opportunities you will get, like, you know, Mitesh was telling us that he got an opportunity to you know, build the you know, the entire wheelchair also. His forte is creating the wheel, but because he got an opportunity, he got into creating the wheelchair also. Tomorrow someone may ask something else, that can you put this in you know, XYZ, and give me that entire thing, right? Now this may not, you know, may not be a good idea, maybe a good idea, may not be a good idea to always go into, because you go to talk to 20 customers, you will always find that all 20 customers will give you 20 different new ideas, and you can take your entire business into 20 different directions. But that is never a good strategy, because that is spreading yourself thin, right? So what you want to do is focus, right? And how do you bring focus, is that your strategy should define that, not just what you're going to do, but also help you decide what you're not going to do, right? So we created a workplace product in during the pandemic. You know, we are a commute company, as I said. A lot of big organizations like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Infosys, Wipro, they use us to ferry their employees from office to home, home to office, 24/7, right? So we're doing about 3 million trips a month. Now during pandemic, we went back to zero, like there is no commute happening, right? So what do, right? We essentially ended up, you know, after a lot of thought and back and forth, we ended up developing a product that not just, you know, helps people in commuting, but also helps people in managing return to office, in managing you know, workplaces, right? So while we were doing only commute or cabs, we now also added workplace to it, because it was an obvious extension, and we have to sell to the same enterprises, to the same teams. We can sell parking management, we can sell desk management, room bookings. So we came up with an entire new sort of set of products. But in that thing also, we get a lot of, like, every time I talk to a client. I was in Mumbai yesterday, you know, and for an event, and that we had organized, and we invited a bunch of clients there, and you know, we were having a discussion with them. And people came up with, oh, while you are doing this, why don't you help us with lease management, why don't you do the document management also? Because, you know, I have already selected one vendor. It would be very good if the same vendor can do everything for me. Now I can do that, right? It is not like that I can't build it. But if I do that, tomorrow someone will ask, can you do ticketing and task management for me? Yeah, of course I can do that. Like, I can build all of these different things, right? But our focus is very clear, that we want to be in commute and workplace. We want to be employee centric. We want to create something that an employee has a use case for, and not just the facility management or an admin person, right? So that helps us say no to all such things which are only limited to a facilities use case, right? Where only a facility person would use it and an employee would not, right? There could be another idea on improving parking management, or doing carpooling, etc. Now anything that employee is about employees, we would take up those ideas, and we will say, yeah, this is definitely what we are going to do, or we are doing, or we will do, right? But There are things where people will come that, can you do this? Now that you are doing this, can you do this also, that also? Lot of things we are able to say no, we will not, because that's not our forte, that's not the focus area, right? It's not that we can't build it. We have 150 engineer 150 engineers working, and creating a massive sort of enterprise product. uh, we could do bunch of different things, right? We could get into HRMS, we could get into IWMS, we get into so many different other zones. But if we do that, then we create a mammoth of a product that is very difficult to sell, because not everyone, in not in every category we can be a winner, right? While one customer, two customer, five customers will want something like that, not a, we would not, it would not make um, you know um, a business sense for us to try to be an everything product, right? And everything for everyone, right? So you can't be this thing. So essentially the essence is that product strategy is something that you helps you not only define what you want to do, but also define what you don't want to do, or what you would never do, right? So typically how road mapping is done, you have a list of features that you want to do, you prioritize them, and you create a roadmap that, this is what we would do. What this is missing is that, there is, roadmap has to be defined by a vision, and you have to have a vision very clearly called out, understood. Then you set some goals, right? That what do I want to do in the next 1 year? This is what I want to achieve. Not what do I want to do in terms of activities, but in terms of goals, right? This is what I want to achieve in terms of revenue. This is what I want to achieve in terms of number of clients. This is what I want to achieve in terms of conversion of my sales process. This is what I want to achieve in terms of in terms of profitability or margin. So all of these are different kinds of goals, right? Or this is what I want to achieve in terms of ticket size, right? So all of these are different kinds of goals, and everything will require different set of activities and product changes. And that's why you have to be very clear. You can't have 20 goals also. You can have like two three goals for for a specified defined period, and then you chase those goals, that this is what we want to do for X, Y, and Z, right? And then you define what to achieve those goals. What are the list of features you need, then prioritize, then create a roadmap. Then it becomes a little more better. And then finally, very very important thing is that you measure what you are, against the goals. You keep measuring and give that feedback back to, goals, and ensure that you are complete, you're completing the sort of circle, right? So very quickly, I'll just introduce the term acme. Acme is acquisition, conversion, monetization, and engagement. Again, as I said, very software sort of centric, but again, basics apply. What in any business, what you want to understand is, how will you acquire more users, how will you convert better, that you might be talking to 20, but only 5 deals are getting signed, 3 deals are getting signed. How would you be able to increase that conversion factor, right? So it is very important, top of the funnel, that you get 20 if you can make it 30, automatically your, this thing will increase, output will increase. But the conversion factor is also very critical, that if you're talking to 20 and converting 2, versus if you're talking to 20 and converting 4, it just becomes a very different output for you, or different outcome for you, right? So that is also extremely important. Then how would you monetize? What are the different models, revenue models? So B2B, B2C, B2B2C, B2G, all of these come into picture. And then what are you monetizing on, right? Can you monetize or provide the technology? Do you want to sell this the transaction? Do you want to have a subscription, that I'll create a wheelchair, and you can hire the wheelchair or take it on lease for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and pay me a monthly thing? I don't want to sell the wheelchair. You do it, I will maintain it, I will also enhance it, I will come keep maintaining it for you and all that. So that could be a model, right? So a lot of people may want to subscribe and say that, okay, instead of buying something for 50,000, maybe I'll give 5,000 for 2 years, right? It will end up becoming much more than 50,000, but it becomes much more affordable for them, right? So all of that is possible. And what you come up with and how you define it as monetization. So that is again part of your thing, that now you, for example, for a hardware thing, if you want to do a monthly thing, you have to also build something around knowing and checking where things are, or you can't just give it to them and people can run away with it, right? So all of that is also that will define that, your goals will define your product, right? And then engagement, how are you ensuring that something that you're building, people are engaging with it, and they are using the product enough for it to continue to make sense for them, right? So a lot of times we've seen that some of the products, some of our clients actually churned, and we could sense that they will churn 3 or 4 months in advance, because we see that the usage of the product is actually going down, because they're not using for it. Eventually they decide that, and it may be because earlier they had a need, and then now things have changed and they don't have a need anymore. And then we see that the engagement reduces, the eventually the monetization also gets suffered, because you may lose the client altogether, right? So any questions this far?
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah. So I have a question. Like, आपने product road mapping के बारे में बताया and different features like users want. So let's suppose कि we are solving this very fundamental concern of women while traveling is safety.
Mm-hmm.
तो अभी at present what our users wants like कि मतलब different parameters like कि you should also provide rental services that we can rent for like 4 hours 5 hours. We can also they also like mention कि आप इस पे subscription based लगा दो, आप इस पे ये लगाओगे that we can like monthly passes वगैरह bring ला दो आप. So what is the like right time to actually मतलब integrate all these things, because users को तो बहुत सारी चीजें चाहिए, because हम need based product बना रहे हैं but उनको
Absolutely.
almost everything हर चीज वो mention कर देते हैं कि ये भी होना चाहिए ये भी होना चाहिए ये भी होना चाहिए. So what exactly is the like right time to figure out कि हाँ इस time पे हम ये features ला सकते हैं, because ऐप पे लाना बहुत बड़ी चीज नहीं है. Like we are providing two wheeler service, अगर हम उस पे rental अगर एक बटन डाल दे तो बहुत बड़ी चीज नहीं है. But what exactly is the right time to bring all these things?
Correct. No, it's a very good question, and there is no one specific or straight answer, um, to it. So इसीलिए ये important है कि we go and understand, very clearly that where are we in the journey here, right? In this uh, graph, people need it or people just want it because आप उनसे बात कर रहे थे and they had this feedback, um, and they just wanted to sound smart and they wanted to tell you something. तो ये उनका वांट है या उनकी नीड है रियल में, और उनसे उनकी कौन सी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होगी, ये यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. दिस इज व्हाई दिस एंटायर पीस वाज इम्पोर्टेंट, क्योंकि जब आपको ये समझ में आएगा कि आपका प्रोडक्ट कहाँ है इसमें, इस कंटिन्यूम में, तब इट बिकम्स इजियर कि आप उसको ठीक से आप समझ पाओगे कि अगर ये वांट है कि सब्सक्रिप्शन प्रोडक्ट भी कर सकते हैं यार, ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा रहेगा. तो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हाउ मेनी सच पीपल एग्जिस्ट, राइट? एंड आई कैन टेल यू विद मोर कॉन्फिडेंस बिकॉज वी हैव ट्राइड समथिंग लाइक दिस, राइट? Believe me, it is harder to when it comes to really sell subscriptions, it's not easy. Everyone, if you talk about it, it just looks so logical that आपको रोज ऑफिस जाना है, So Uber, रोज उबर नहीं बुक करने के बजाय, if you have a subscription, it is so easy. Then every day, someone will come pick you up at a particular time and then drop you at at office with all safety and security and everything, right? So we launched something like this after having been in this industry for a very long time, like 10 years, and being market leaders in it. We launched something like this, and it took us 6 months to get 5,000 subscribers, right? With a lot of marketing effort and a lot of road shows and a lot of stuff that we did. Everyone sort of always said that we need this. Everyone always said that this is very, close to what we would want to have, and it was solving a real problem for them. But still, the adoption, this product stability, all of that takes time to build. Sorry, is there a lot of noise? There is some noise at my end. Can you hear
Yeah,
it?
yeah, there is some background noise. Yes.
Sorry for that. Let me try to reduce that. So I guess this is better.
Yeah.
All right. So sure, I think it would go away. Some drilling is going on, so it will go away now. Yeah. Cool. So that is what Ajay, we we'd have to figure by first is to try to understand, and there are various ways in which you can test it out. अगर कोई ऐसी चीज है जो आप ला सकते हो and quickly test, and you don't have to do a lot of stuff for that, right? तो तो फिर कहानी थोड़ी different है. तब we can introduce something and test it out कि ठीक है, let us see how many people use it, or how many people want to subscribe to it or pay for it. That's one thing. But um, if you have to build something where, in order to provide that, you will have to do a lot of work, right, to make it possible, then it becomes a very different kind of thing. And then you do it only once you have the cushion of the money, the thing. क्योंकि हर चीज का you would have to figure a critical mass कि यार इतने rights, इतने subscriptions मुझे मिल गए. For example, I'll take subscription example. कि इतने सब्सक्रिप्शन आपको दिन में अगर अगर मिल जाएंगे कि जिससे आपको इतनी राइट्स दिन में मिलेंगी, then it will start making sense, right? So you have to actually do that math and calculate backwards कि इतने सब्सक्रिप्शन लेने के लिए कितना आपको कितने लोग आपको सब्सक्राइब करना चाहिए,
Passes page.
कितना होना चाहिए, आपका वो मास कितना होना चाहिए, तब जाके और उसके लिए आपको कितना कॉस्ट लगेगा, राइट? उतना सब्सक्रिप्शंस लाने के लिए आपको कितना कॉस्ट लगेगा. डू यू हैव दैट मनी टुडे, राइट? क्योंकि आपको ऑब्वियसली मार्केट करने के लिए आपको वो ट्रस्ट एस्टैब्लिश करना पड़ेगा. लॉट ऑफ पीपल may use it one time, 2 times, and they are happy to pay every time, right? But as soon as you ask them कि आप मुझे ना एक मंथली पास की तरह पैसे दे दो, and then you can use it anytime, uh, you know uh, so something like a Swiggy, something like Amazon Prime subscription, people are happy to do कि where they are actually paying every time. But समथिंग इट्स लाइक अ प्रायोरिटी पास कि आपको डिलीवरी फी नहीं लग रही है, आपको ये फी नहीं लग रही है, आपको प्रीमियम फी नहीं लग रही. तो दैट इज समथिंग दैट हैज बिकम पॉपुलर इन द साइकी ऑफ सोसाइटी राइट नाउ. बट इफ यू आस्क देम कि आप तो सर 10,000 दे दो और सारा परचूनी का सामान उसमें आ जाएगा आपका, यू कीप ऑर्डरिंग एवरी वीक, वी विल सेंड यू, क्योंकि आपको यही सब सामान तो लगता है, आप बस ऑर्डर कर देना, हर चीज आपको 50% डिस्काउंट में मिल जाएगी. एज ऑफ नाउ नोबडी विल गो एंड बाय दिस. पीपल आर लाइक यार पता नहीं, दे हैव अ रफ आइडिया कि कभी मेरा 8,000 खर्च होता है, कभी 12,000 खर्च होता है, राइट? बट आई वुड नॉट गो एंड परचेज अ 10,000 रुपीज सब्सक्रिप्शन बट इफ समवन टेल्स मी कि आप 500 रुपये दे दो, आपको डिलीवरी फी नहीं लगेगी, राइट, आपकी सारी डिलीवरी फी हम वो कर देंगे, रिड्यूस कर देंगे फॉर नेक्स्ट 10 some transactions, 20 transactions, those kind of subscription people are happier doing, right? So if you see, एक सब्सक्रिप्शन में आपको सिर्फ सिर्फ सॉफ्टवेयर में आपके चेंजेस करने हैं। दूसरे टाइप के सब्सक्रिप्शन में यू हैव टू एंश्योर दैट एंटायर ऑपरेशन इज अलाइंड, राइट?
Operations.
तो वो उस तरह से यू विल हैव टू डू एक्सपेरिमेंट एंड फिगर आउट व्हेन इज द राइट टाइम टू डू। सो अगर आपका पहला सब्सक्रिप्शन जो है, अगर वो बहुत सॉलिड बिक जाता है, आपको ऐसा लगता है कि अगर इसका 10% भी लोग कन्वर्ट हो गए तो यू विल बी सॉर्टेड, यू विल हैव वायबल बिजनेस, then I think it's a good idea to go to the next level. So you have to break down any, and again we are talking about only one thing here, but the idea for everyone is ki, can you break it down into steps and say, how can I do that one first experiment with least effort, right? That's the most important thing, कि आप कम से कम एफर्ट में आप कैसे पता लगा सकते हो कि क्या चलेगा, right? It is, I cannot answer that for you, nobody can answer that for you, even though I'm in the same field and even though I've done the similar thing, right? We are also doing rides, we are handling people, we are doing for four wheelers, and we are focused on office commute, right? But but would it work for you? I cannot say, because your market is different, your positioning is different, you are doing for the women, by the women kind of thing, right? So उसमें चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा is something that you'll have to figure out with these little experiments,
Sure.
right? So and then again, as I said, कि ये important है to figure out कि is it what people want or what people really need,
What they need.
right? क्योंकि उसके हिसाब से फिर आपकी मैसेजिंग और सब कुछ डिफरेंट हो जाएगा, राइट? इफ इट इज समथिंग दैट पीपल नीड, क्योंकि उनको आज 50 रुपए लग रहे हैं और अगर आप सब्सक्राइब कर लेंगे तो 30 ही लगेंगे पर राइट, राइट? तो वो फिर आपको उनको समझाना पड़ेगा कि आप सब्सक्राइब कर लो, आपने पिछले महीने जो है 10 बार राइड्स ली, राइट? और अगर आप सब्सक्राइब करते तो इतने बच जाते हैं, मैसेजिंग आपकी बिल्कुल क्लियर हो जाएगी, राइट? फिर आप बाकी चीज़ों की बात नहीं कर रहे हो, फिर आप सेफ्टी और ये सब की बात नहीं कर रहे हो, क्योंकि वो तो ऑलरेडी हो गया है सॉर्ट, राइट? नाउ यू आर ओनली फोकस्ड ऑन टेलिंग पीपल, देखो सब्सक्राइब करो, सब्सक्राइब करने से इतने बचेंगे, राइट?
What extra they can get.
हाँ, so then it becomes like a very different thing as compared to, you can also completely different create a different thing category and say कि you will not go into subscription, your focus can be how can I make more money per ride, राइट? तो इसलिए सब्सक्रिप्शन करना है या मेक मोर मनी पर है, आपको प्रीमियम सर्विस देनी है, राइट? कि आपके ड्राइवर को आप थोड़ी इंग्लिश सिखा दो, आपकी राइड्स में थोड़ा कंफर्टेबल फैक्टर दे दो, आपके हेलमेट्स को इम्प्रूव कर दो, इंट्रोड्यूस सम मोर सेफ्टी फीचर्स एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट। तो अब ये करना है या ये करना है, दिस विल डिपेंड ऑन व्हाट इज योर गोल, right? What do you want to achieve in next 1 year? Do you want to make more money per ride, or do you want to make uh, you know acquire 100,000 more users, right? तो वो आपका गोल क्या है, उसके बेसिस पे डिटरमिन होगा कि आप फीचर किस टाइप का बनाओगे,
Sure.
right? So that is where how what I just described all of this comes in. Cool. So very quickly, I think will be applicable for um, you know definitely for Ajay, but for others also. If you have competition, you have to build something like a parity feature, right? तो competition से मतलब ये नहीं है कि अब अगर in one terms if you see what is who is competing with Ajay in the same facility that Ajay is providing, no one, right? There is no other service which is by the women, etc. For the women, by the women. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a competition. Competition जो है वो Uber के साथ है, Ola के साथ है, Rapido के साथ है, right? क्योंकि वो तो सर्विस दे ही रहे हैं, right? Your he is giving a service which is by women drivers, but others are also giving that service, and women are using it, right? This may be a little more this thing, so based on availability, people may choose sometimes may try here, but आपका जो है वो बाइक 7 मिनट में आएगा, 10 मिनट में आएगा, और रैपिडो का बाइक 1 मिनट में दिख रहा है, तो दे माइट चूज ठीक है यार, दिस इज अ सेफ place, I can actually trust a male driver also, not a problem, right? So um, that is a thing that alternative, जो भी alternatives हैं लोगों के पास में, या कि आप पास ही है, पैदल चले जाओ या मेट्रो पकड़ लो, so any alternative is a competition also. So you have to figure out parity, right? So the first thing that you have to figure out is how you are at par with what alternative is already available, right? So उनके पास में अगर ये फीचर है, ये फैसिलिटी है, can you also provide the same thing? First thing you have to figure out is, because one to one compare करेंगे लोग, right? So first thing that we do is this category of features that we build, we call it parity features, right? Then second is of course the expected feature, जो भी if I open a commute app or a ride hailing app, तो क्या एक्सपेक्टेड होगा उससे, वो सब फीचर जो एक्सपेक्टेड होंगे, वो जब आप बनाओगे, भाई ठीक है, लॉग इन होगा, अपना सोर्स डालोगे, डेस्टिनेशन डालोगे, मैप दिखना चाहिए कहाँ है अपना, आप मैप डाल सकते हो, तो ओटीपी फीचर आएगा, तो ये सब एक्सपेक्टेड फीचर्स है। फिर एम्प्लॉय सेफ्टी के लिए आपने कि वो आपकी तो पूरी ट्रैक हो रही है रूट, अगर किसी ने डिविएट किया, आप गलत गली में घुस गए, तो तुरंत आपका अलार्म बज जाएगा। नाउ दैट इज एन एडवांस फीचर, राइट? तो ये you would not need it on day one, but eventually, to engage people better and keep giving them more value, you will start needing this. Then there could be unexpected features जो लोग एक्सपेक्ट भी नहीं करते, लेकिन आप उनको सॉर्ट ऑफ दे रहे हो कि ठीक है, आप राइड में जा ही रहे हो, तो और हेलमेट आपके पास नहीं है, या मे बी आपके पास में कुछ सामान ज़्यादा है, you start giving them some storage space also, right? So that could be an unexpected feature, that यार राइड हेलिंग तो पता था, लेकिन स्टोरेज भी मिल जाएगा ये नहीं पता था, right? So that was not expected, but then you start giving them something like that. Then engagement features, we talked about engagement की very important to keep people engaged and continue to use your product, particularly for B2C, जहाँ हार्डवेयर आपने सेल कर दिया, वहाँ तो it is probably a harder thing to know, but lot of devices still people use in terms of, or try to know in terms of, because it is IoT driven, people understand कि उसका यूज कैसे हो रहा है, कितना हो रहा है, right? So and then viral features, something that immediately goes viral, or catches the fancy and attention of a lot of people. That is the viral feature. Sometimes, like particularly in app kind of thing, you might have to build something like this. Then there are security features, things that will help you with ensuring कि आपका जो भी प्रोडक्ट हो वो सेफ एंड सिक्योर हो. इन केस ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर, इट कांट बी there is no vulnerability, it can't be hacked, it can't be transformed. In case of hardware, it is protected by IP, right? So whatever you need in order to secure the product from misuse, all of those come under security features. So अब ये maybe पहले दिन you don't need it, but very quickly you would have to, and depending on what kind of product you are building, you have to figure out security of the users and security of the product, because immediately it becomes important, right? As soon as it becomes start getting popular, your security of the product becomes important. Then as and when we are taking creating products, we are also taking some debt, right? हम कभी डिजाइन डेट ले लेते हैं कि यार ठीक है, अभी बना दो फीचर, फिर समझेंगे कि यूजेबिलिटी या डिस्कवरेबिलिटी कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट है इसकी, राइट? तो वो डेट को फिर हमको रिपे भी करना होता है, कि देन वील हैव टू अलाइन समझे कि नहीं, अभी लेट अस नॉट बिल्ड एनीथिंग न्यू, लेट अस फर्स्ट मेक श्योर दैट जो हमने पहले बनाया था दैट हैज बिकम स्टेबल, right? So very typical software thing, right? So what we call them as a repayment feature. Then instrumentation, which is more about analyzing your constantly, जो भी आप प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हो उसको आप कैसे मेजर करोगे कॉन्स्टेंटली, कि उसका यूजेज कितना है, उसकी स्टेबिलिटी कितनी है, कितना फायदा लोगों को हो रहा है उससे, कितना कम या कितना ज़्यादा यूज़ कर रहे हैं लोग उसको. तो दैट इज़ instrumentation. Any feature that you develop in that regard is instrumentation feature, right? And then finally is the byproduct. So a lot of times people use your product in alternative ways, right? So for example, in 2015-16 I this talked about कि WhatsApp का जो alternative use है, which is not intended. So WhatsApp was created like a chat for between friends and between people. Lot, if you see, and I'm sure you all are entrepreneurs, you are part of multiple communities, right? कम्युनिटीज जो है वो फीचर किसका है, लिंक्डइन का, वो फीचर है meet.org का, एंड सो मेनी अदर्स आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट products that can help them build communities. LinkedIn is having a hard time. उनसे वो मतलब बन नहीं रहा है, कम्युनिटीज वहाँ पे एक्टिव हो नहीं रही हैं, एक्टिवेट बड़ी मुश्किल से कुछ कुछ कम्युनिटीज चलती हैं. और व्हाट्सएप पे आप देखोगे कम्युनिटीज बने जा रही हैं, एंड पीपल आर हैविंग very sticky communities. Telegram पे again it was created like a safe and secure channel of communication, but it has become a lot of it is popular because of the communities that came. So that was like a byproduct. It was not intended originally to become something. आप community का product बना दो, फिर देखो Telegram और WhatsApp की तरह चलता है क्या? Most of the time it would not work like that, right? So and that is the reason you would see that अभी 2-4 साल पहले WhatsApp इंट्रोड्यूस दैट, दे रियलाइज कि यार ये प्रोडक्ट हमने बनाया तो एक रीजन के लिए था, लेकिन दूसरे रीजन से यूज हो रहा है. तो अब नाउ बिकॉज इट इज बीइंग यूज लाइक दैट, कैन वी इंट्रोड्यूस a community feature? How can you make it easy for people to make communities and drive communities on WhatsApp, right? So now you see that WhatsApp has a community feature, right? And so that is what you have to also understand कि जो product आप बना रहे हो, what are the alternative use cases of it. It may apply, it may not apply to your specific case, it may apply after a very long time and things like that, but again something that is useful to keep in mind, right? So ये 10 categories के अलावा, तीन ये 10 brackets के अलावा, there is nothing else that kind of feature that you want to build. So why this is important is that the whole roadmap when you're creating, if you have these 10 things in mind, you write them down and say, acha, what are you doing to create parity? What are you doing to make sure that expected features are covered? What are you doing for virality? What are you doing for security? What kind of debt have you taken? What are you doing for instrumentation and engagement? So when you have listed this down, then it will become more comprehensive. Your roadmap will become very very comprehensive. Sorry. So you have to start thinking in those terms, on those lines, key whenever you are building a certain product, or when you're building the roadmap, you have to ensure key all of these are also covered and you're not missing out on certain things. Then the entire 360-degree coverage you will get for your roadmap, right? So very quickly make it comprehensive, derive it from data step by step. If you go, first is to define your acme goals. There is one example that how we are using. So we don't use very fancy tools, we use a simple excel sheet. So you can see a screenshot right there. These are real goals that I have been using in my org for my product, right, which is a workplace management software. It is, the first thing is goal that is conversion. And one important aspect that we want to do is improve the demo, right? Make sure that the demo looks so appealing and fancy that people have a very good impression. Then acquisition is one of the goals. Engagement is one of the goals. Engagement तब होगा जब implementation जो है वो बहुत fast होगा. We can't take 3 months to implement. We should take about 3 to 4 weeks में implement हो जाना चाहिए. Acquisition में unblocking sales. So sales is stuck saying कि yeah, people are asking for these 2 3 things. Unless we have this, we'll not be able to sell better, right? Can we create those features and unblock sales, and so on, right? So just a quick glimpse of how we are using it, and then as required you can introduce more goals. Like we have one goal called strategic alignment and employee centricity, right? So we want to create a product which is not admin centric but employee centric. And I not go into details of it, but this is what is very important for the kind of product that we are trying to build. So one of the goals is to check a strategic alignment कि भाई आप उससे डिफरेंट तो नहीं जा रहे हो, आप बहुत ज़्यादा फैसिलिटी टीम के लिए तो नहीं बनाने लग गए प्रोडक्ट, राइट? तो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि एम्प्लॉय सेंट्रिसिटी इज ऑलवेज इम्पॉर्टेंट. सो ये दिस इज हाउ वी हैव क्रिएटेड गोल्स, एंड देन उसके बाद में then we categorize feature into these different brackets that we 10 brackets that we talked about, and then उनकी आपस में क्या डिपेंडेंसीज हैं, पहले एक बनाने के लिए पहले क्या बनाना पड़ेगा, obviously that we will have to take up first, right? So based on that then we have to prioritize, right? Then third step is to set the exact metric and formula how you will calculate, right? So हमने ये बात करी यहाँ पर कि improve the demo, right? So or conversion. So now the question is कि how will you measure this, right? So how we used to measure is कि अगर हम 10 डेमो देंगे और उसके बाद follow on meeting, if we are getting 2 meetings today, we should get 5 meetings. That is when we know that our demos have improved, right? So it becomes easy, and it was like simple. फिर it is not कि आप you don't change it कि नहीं नहीं बट ये लीड इतनी अच्छी नहीं थी, वो नहीं था, देन यू चेंज द प्रोसेस समवेयर एल्स. अगर आपको ये मेजर करना है तो देन इट हैज टू बी द फॉर्मूला आल्सो हैज टू बी डिसाइडेड, एंड देन वी रियलाइज कि नहीं ये हम 2 से 5 तो नहीं हुआ, 2 से 3 हो गया, 2 से 3.5 हो गया, right? But we will not be able to achieve 5 without improving the lead at some other level. कि अभी जो है ऐसी लोगों को डेमो दे रहे हैं जिनको ये प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं, राइट? तो वो पहले ही आप उनको सॉर्ट आउट कर लो, आपकी लीड जो है क्वालिटी वो इम्प्रूव होगी तो अपने आप कन्वर्जन रेशियो भी इम्प्रूव होगा. तो दैट इज दैट व्हाट अगेन दैट वी वर्कड ऑन, एंड देन वी फिगर्ड कि अब वो इम्प्रूव होके 4 हो गया है, वो इम्प्रूव होके 5 हो गया है, राइट? सो you need to have that sort of measurement in your as part of your process, right? So वो exact metric formula time period कि आप कब measure करोगे, कोई चीज आपने लगाई है, आपको लग रहा है ये चीज से मुझे इतना फायदा होगा, कब होगा, राइट? और कैसे मेजर करोगे, ये लिख कर रखो आज फीचर बनाने के पहले, तब आप सही ऑनेस्टली उसको मेजर कर पाओगे, नहीं तो यू कैन कीप मेकिंग अ फुल ऑफ योरसेल्फ, राइट? पोस्ट फैक्टो यू डू अ लॉट ऑफ रैशनलाइजेशन कि हाँ ठीक है चलो इतना नहीं हुआ, लेकिन ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था क्योंकि सम सब्जेक्टिव थिंग, राइट? सो अगर आपने पहले से लिख के नहीं रखा, यू विल मेजर, it becomes later on it becomes very difficult because then it will be a lot of biased thinking, and you will try to justify that अब जो investment आपने कर दिया है वो सही है, right? So very important that you do it, make it ready for measurement. आप मेजर करना चाहते हो, अगर आपने सोचा ही नहीं कि मेजर होगा कैसे, और आपने इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन किया नहीं है, वो डेटा ही आपको मिलेगा नहीं अगर मेजर करने के लिए, तो इट विल बिकम वेरी डिफिकल्ट. देन अनदर गुड थिंग इज दैट डोंट कीप इट टू योर सेल्फ कि आप क्या मेजर करने वाले हो, क्या टारगेट्स हैं, क्या गोल्स हैं. सो व्हाट वी डू इज वी डोंट कीप इट टू आवरसेल्व्स कि हमने डिसाइड कर लिया फिर हम चुपचाप मेजर कर लेंगे. नहीं, व्हाट वी डू इज वी पब्लिश इट टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कि हम ना ये मेजर कर रहे हैं एंड दिस इज व्हाट आवर गोल इज, राइट? देन इट बिकम्स अब वो पब्लिक है, नाउ पीपल विल कम एंड आस्क कि हाँ भाई तुमने बोला था वो ऐसे होगा, इतना हो जाएगा, क्या हुआ फिर, right? So you are actually creating a process where it becomes imperative that you follow through, right? You don't कि कुछ और आ गया, कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट था तो अब हमने इसको साइडलाइन किया और फिर हम कहा ठीक है बाद में देखेंगे ये मेजरमेंट वगैरह, अभी तो धंधा आ रहा है अपन बनाते हैं और बनाते हैं, बिकॉज सी बनाना इज इजियर पार्ट, मतलब इज द डिफिकल्ट, इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, but in the overall scheme of things, of overall business, if you see, building the product is the easiest part. However challenging it is, however difficult it is the easiest in all the other things that you have to do, right? Selling is difficult, managing profit is difficult, hiring the right kind of people, making the team is difficult, right? So all of these are so difficult that if you if you look at it, even though creating the right product is hard, it becomes the easiest thing कि यार ये तो हमारे कंट्रोल में, ये तो हम कर ही लेंगे, इवेंचुअली अच्छा प्रोडक्ट तो बना ही लेंगे, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं, राइट? But getting all the other factors is what we have to worry about and focus. Cool. So bringing it together, make it comprehensive using all the feature bracket framework, derive it from the data, set goals, right? And then base it on the stage of the life cycle. So the next set may not be very sort of useful for all of you, but if there are any questions, I would like to answer those first.
Any questions from anyone?
I'm good.
Okay. Mitesh, Aishwarya?
No, we are good.
Cool. So essentially, in different life stages of the life cycle, if you see in the growth stage and the early stage, in the early stage or pre-adoption sort of thing, what is more important is you first focus on expected features, right? Parity features. So ये order है, right? कि ये सब पहले आपको solve करना पड़ेगा. You can't start thinking about viral features first. पहले expected features, parity features की बात कर लो, right? And then you don't talk about byproducts and unexpected and advanced features. ये सब सबसे last में, right? First focus is these 3, 4, 5 things, right? Instrumentation is roughly at in the top 5. When you go into the growth stage, आपका कुछ एक्सपेक्टेड फीचर्स वगैरह मोस्टली बन गए हैं, पैरिटी फिर भी थोड़ी बहुत आ चुकी है, राइट? नाउ यू आर फोकस्ड ऑन वायरल फीचर्स, राइट? कैन हाउ कैन आई मेक इट हाई ग्रोथ, राइट? इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन इज सडनली इम्प्रूव्ड इन प्रायोरिटी. अभी आपने ऑलरेडी काफ़ी डेट ले लिया है डिज़ाइन में, डेवलपमेंट में, टेक में. सो नाउ इज द टाइम फॉर रिपेमेंट. अगर आपके लीगल क्लॉज, आईपी और ये सब अगर आपका कंप्लीट नहीं है, अकाउंटिंग प्रॉपर नहीं है, तो स्टार्ट फोकसिंग ऑन दोज थिंग्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ बिजनेस, राइट? From early stage, this is sort of still in top 5, right? If you see, engagement feature, security feature are still something which are right now is not that critical. But as you go into early maturity, engagement becomes super high important, right? So engagement, क्योंकि अब आपके काफी बड़ा critical mass है जो already product use करना चालू कर चुका है, right? So how do you keep them engaged? How do you get more and more orders from them is what is most important, right? More usage from them is more important than talking about parity features or expected features, क्योंकि अब ये growth mature आपका काफी mature product है. So parity probably you have also carved a niche for yourself, तो आपका competition से थोड़ा product अलग हो गया. You don't have to even sound familiar same. तो आपके पास तो ये feature नहीं है, हाँ नहीं बनाएंगे भी, हमारा अलग product है, right? So you have already achieved some sort of maturity in that sense, so you can go with uh, Sorry. So you can go with focus should be on engagement features, um, right? And then late maturity may, of course, engagement is important, but then this is when you start thinking about byproducts, right? Or unexpected products, advanced features, क्योंकि अब आपको बिल्कुल वही ऑडियंस या नई ऑडियंस लाना है तो आपको बहुत नया डिसरप्टिव काम करना पड़ेगा, right? Your security, virality, all of this is all done, taken care of कि भैया जो है वो बन गया अब you are talking about something absolutely disruptive and new, right? And so on it further continues, थोड़ा बहुत changes आएंगे, but things will, unexpected advanced features, ये सब बहुत important हो गए now, right? So this is how things change in the life cycle when you are sort of what kind of life cycle you are in uske basis pe. So typically for you guys it will be this or this, right? So first it will be like expected parity, viral, repayment, instrumentation, and then it will be, viral will become a little more important, right? So once you have a critical mass of people and, already if you're in growth stage, more viral, more engaging features will become more important, right? So um, that is how you can prioritize. So we talked about prioritizing in the roadmap. That is what you have to do, right? So this is how you prioritize based on the life cycle. Cool. So that's all I have uh, for the workshop today. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Sorry,